What is going on, people? In this video, I'm going to give you guys some information that pertains to the fuel consumption of this bike. So in the next clip, I'm going to go ahead and just give you guys some of those numbers with respect to when the fuel light comes on and when the bike runs out of fuel. But there's a few things I want to go over real quick before we skip to that clip, and then that way, for those of you that just want to get those numbers and don't want to watch the whole video, you can get that information, and then I'll have some other footage of me just riding and providing random commentary throughout my test. So here I am outside of Las Vegas, Nevada, out at the Desert National Wildlife Refuge. I got a 2024 KTM 500 EXC-F. So some of you that are researching these bikes or considering them are probably aware that some of these late model KTMs around this time frame are having some fuel consumption complaints with respect to where they're running out of fuel and how much fuel is left in the tank. And that's why I'm making this video, because I have noticed already riding this bike previously that the fuel light will come on at about half a tank. That can vary a little bit mileage wise depending on, you know, how you're riding, where you're riding, all that. So I got intrigued to make this video. So, okay, we know what the bike is. We know what kind of the complaint is. The other thing we should be aware of, this bike is totally stock, the bike itself. I've done nothing to it. It's a factory tank. There's no modification. Stock gearing, stock ECU, everything is stock. But I have added some Tusk luggage. I've got the Traverse panniers, some bottle holders with some MSR bottles in them, and a dry bag on the back. Okay, but like I say, I just kind of want to make that all clear so we understand what's going on. Also, most of this test is going to take place in off-road conditions, so we're not going to get highway numbers necessarily. I did do a little bit of highway driving already. I'm going to do some on the way back. So far on the way in, I did 10.2 miles, and so most of this riding is going to be off-road. I've spent a lot of time in third and fourth gear, so we'll see. The numbers, they are what they are. We know with fuel economy, those things vary. But again, the big interest here is, where does the fuel light come on? Where does the bike run out of fuel? This is the initial test, kind of a real-world off-road thing. We had a little bit of, I shouldn't say a surprise, because we did get some precipitation recently, but I got some snow where I'm at. And that's going to have some effects on it too, because the bike is now officially christened. The bike's been pretty clean for the past few weeks since I bought it, and now I've went through mud and snow. So she has been christened officially. So anyways, once I get the numbers, I'll cut that in for you guys who just want to hear them next, and then we'll get to the riding and all that other footage after that. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. All right, so what are the numbers? I will also include this information in the video description. The final results for the fuel test on my 2024 KTM 500 EXC-F are as follows. The low fuel indicator light came on at 84.8 miles. The engine started to lack fuel and sputter at 103.5 miles. The engine continued to run with intermittent sputtering, and then the engine completely stopped receiving fuel at 110.5 miles. There was some fuel remaining in the tank. The mileage totals with respect to mixed riding are 24.2 miles on the highway and 86.3 miles off-road. So once I had run out of fuel and I was on the side of the highway, I did need to add my auxiliary fuel to get me to the next fuel station. So I added the contents of two 30-ounce fuel bottles, 60 ounces total, and then I had to travel 3 miles to the next fuel station. All this is factored into the final numbers. So once I got to the fuel station, I refilled the bike's tank and the two fuel bottles, which was a total of 2.099 gallons of fuel, which means the bike averaged 52.6 miles per gallon on this particular ride. The factory tank has a capacity of approximately 8.24 gallons or 8.5 liters, which means that there was approximately 0.141 gallons or 0.533 liters of fuel remaining in the tank when the engine stopped operating. So, like I said, I did factor in the auxiliary fuel to this. I'm very confident that the way that I've calculated the fuel consumption is quite accurate within the fraction of a gallon or liter. Okay, now with these numbers, you guys got to keep in mind this is going to be variable depending on your rider weight, your elevation, the ambient temperature, your riding style, those sort of things. Another thing to consider is, as I probably mentioned in the beginning of the video or some point throughout my riding, these are good numbers. And I know they're good after that everything's complete now, because I spent probably 75 to 80% of my time lugging the engine, just taking it really easy. I got on it a few times, but it's just not enough to compare it to like something someone racing would, or someone just going, you know, full throttle down the highway would. These are good numbers. So keep that in mind. You know, there's a lot of variables, but I would say that my test is pretty accurate. So those are the numbers. For those of you that just want those numbers, and for any of you that are interested in seeing the riding footage and hearing my commentary, keep the video rolling. All right, so I've just topped off the bike and I filled up my two 30-ounce MSR fuel bottles. So what I'm gonna do is reset the trip. We'll ride the bike until the fuel light comes on, log those miles, and then we'll ride the bike till it runs out of fuel and we'll log those miles. Trip is reset to 0, trip 2. Let's see what the odometer's at. 10.9 hours. 284 miles on the odometer. All right, let's go ride this thing. So I would say the representation we're going to get from a fuel economy perspective is going to be good. And what I mean by good is it's not going to be great, it's not going to be excellent, it's not going to be poor or terrible. It's going to be good because I'm going to ride mostly off-road. I got to do a short stretch of highway to get where I'm going. And the roads, they're exactly that. They're roads. A lot of them are graded occasionally. It's just easy stuff for this bike. I can probably maintain. I'll probably be in 3rd or 4th gear. I'm just guessing. But we'll find out a lot of the time. And I'm just going to kind of just drive reasonably. And, you know, I'll get on it now and then just for fun. But I basically just want to get an idea of how this thing performs in moderate to easy off-road conditions. And a big purpose of this is I know there's been some fuss about what's going on with these bikes and the fuel tanks as far as running out of fuel before they've used the entire tank. I do know the fuel light comes on around half a tank, so we'll see how that pans out. Was 10.2 miles on the highway and the road leading up to the point where we are now going to go off-road. Let's see what we get. I get to some stretches here where I can start to go a little bit faster now. Like I suspected, spending a lot of time in 3rd and 4th gear so far, but it does start to smooth out a little bit at a point. Might be able to build some speed up. Fifth gear, but she's lugging. Maybe this will help me get a little bit more range out of it. Oh, she's lugging. 500s definitely do like to lug. That was the truest thing I've heard about these bikes so far. Peekaboo Canyon, here we are. Oh yeah, man, this bike just lugs right out of it. But anyways, on the fuel economy thing, I was saying that just because I'm looking at the tank, it looks like it's down about 1/3. Hard for me to quantify what I'm thinking, but I just, you know, been watching the bike over the past couple weeks, and might be down a little further per mile. But man, yeah, the luggability in this this engine. You know, I know there's a lot of talk about. There's a new sign. No vehicles beyond this point. We got to give us somewhere to park and check out the hills, man. But a lot of people talk about. Sorry, I keep changing subjects on you guys. How choked up these bikes are. The US model EXC-Fs. I've never ridden one otherwise, but you know, I know enough to know that what people are saying is true. And with that said, I mean, this bike's still got some good power. I mean, it's sluggish off the bottom. I guess it does have I should say a tendency to stall, but I don't know, man. I feel like it did pretty good. I had it out in some terrain where I was, you know, couldn't get out of first and second gear, rocky, rough terrain, and I felt like the bike was lugging really well. It might just be that maybe some of the early bugs on the 24 models got worked out before I got to it, and maybe it's my elevation. I've been riding, you know, around 2,000 to 3,000 feet primarily, which I'm probably about 3,000 feet right now if I had to guess. And the bike seems to run pretty darn good, and it lugs out of stuff, man. So I think I mentioned this in another video, but you know, if you're not a high intensity rider, you may not need to tune this bike, because I know that's all the chatter right now is you got to put a new ECU on it. Well, for some people that's just going to be the case no matter what. But I'm just saying, if you're a newer rider, you may not need to do that. I'm not a new rider, but I just don't have like racing ambitions with this bike. So I'm kind of like at this point wondering if I even should do it. I've been thinking about it for a few weeks, and the main compelling reason as to why I want to do it, I don't know how true it is how it being choked up in the exhaust system affects the overall longevity of the engine. The argument is that it runs hotter because it's lean, and because the exhaust is all plugged up, it's trapping a lot of heat. Okay, that all makes sense. I don't really have any reason to deny that, but you know, it's hard to say because these 24 models haven't been tested for 10 years. So you know, how are we going to look back and determine the truth on that? You know, I'm not trying to get in any arguments with anybody. I get it. If it's choked up and it's holding the exhaust back, you know, it's going to increase the heat retention. I get it. But I think the point still remains, depending on who you are, what your ambitions are, you know, you may not need to put the ECU on this bike. That's an expensive modification. And if you don't need to put an ECU or an exhaust on this thing, you just saved yourself like $1,500, depending on the options you go with. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's more than one route you can go, but that's a roundabout number that I think is probably common for what a lot of people are going with as far as the get ECU and putting on like a name brand exhaust. Yeah, you're talking $500 for your tailpipe, your silencer, muffler, whatever you want to call it, and you know, $1,000 for the ECU. So there you go, $1,500 on an already expensive motorcycle. So it's something I'm like thinking about daily, is, you know, am I going to do that? I might, but as far as the performance of the bike is concerned, for me just moseying around with it, you don't need to do it. Getting close to the picnic area here, that's where we start to get into some junipers and then some either pinyon or ponderosa pines. I forget which kind they are. Could be both, who knows. So this is where the ride starts to get really cool and be worth it. This area has a established campground picnic area with tables and pit toilets. Be a good spot for me to stop and get out and stretch my legs for a minute.
little bit of snow on the ground. I was wondering how much, if any, there was going to be. We did get some rain the other day, but it looks like it might have just rained out here, or the snow's already cooked off. We had a couple warm days since the last rain. We're having a decent past several months in terms of precipitation out here in the Las Vegas area. It's been much needed. We've had, you know, droughts going on forever, and this season's been helpful. But we've had times where it snowed, you know, on the mountain. You could see our surrounding mountains got snow on them, and I'd come out here in my four-wheel drive, and you couldn't get past the area that I'm at right now because the snow would be 2 or 3 feet thick, which really seems like a lot because sometimes it doesn't snow that much down at these elevations. But these mountains, they seem to just harbor the clouds just enough and get cold enough, obviously, that it'll get thick out here. I've been out here with a group of 4x4s, and you know, we drove to the point where we were, you know, up to our frames in snow and had to turn around. Ooh, this stuff is slick. Man, I better pay attention here. I could dump it. It's getting slick up in this beast. Oh yeah, there's some snow. It's getting slick, man. I just had to drop in a rut and just stay in it, because otherwise I'm trying to stay out of these ruts. I'm gonna dump it. If the snow gets too much deeper, I'll have to turn around. These tires are just, as soon as I hit the snow, the bike just wants to fall right over. So we'll see. This might be my midway point. All right, folks, I decided I'm a gambling man today, so I'm gonna trek further into this snow and mud. It's only gonna last for so long, you know. We're kind of at like a summit per se in this area as far as elevation. So once I get to the other half, the snow and mud will subside. Let's get out of here. This is a nice place. I could just stay here, but we got a test to do. Come on, snow bike. Let's go. See how much worse this road's gonna get. Oh, this is dumb. I'm already freaking skittering around. Oh, getting my brand new bike all treacheryed. Maybe I should just go in the middle in the snow. I think I tested this theory earlier, and the snow was not the way to go. No, it's definitely not the way to go. Oh my gosh. I'm also experimenting with the luggage. You know, I was leery of getting this rackless setup because of just chapping up the fenders. And that was really the only reason I didn't want to go rackless, is just, you know, I had that new bike thing going on and I didn't want to chap it up. And I did notice I was starting to get some marring on the back fender, so I moved my dry bag forward a little bit. So now it's literally right up against me. I think it's actually causing me to sit a little further forward than I might in a lot of situations, because it's up against my back. So I mean, you know how it is when you're riding a dirt bike. Sometimes you get up on a tank, sometimes you move back. At this point, my moving back is limited because of the positioning of my luggage. So I may stop here in a little bit and relocate that. Oh, the dirt is getting thick here. The dirt. You know, Nevada's one of those places that just has a whole nother type of mud. We just do, man. There's different places where mud just gets ridiculous, and Nevada is one of them. Man, we've got some places you wouldn't know it, especially for those of us that frequent these areas through different seasons. You know, you learn it. I mean, mud is mud everywhere, but we get, man, out here everything is rocky, and it's a whole nother deal. because you could see it. Well, you guys probably can't see it on the camera, but I mean, I could see it. There's just pebbles just mixed in with this dirt. It just creates a whole nother texture and tackiness. But listen to the lug, dude. I am just barely just cracking this. I mean, like 1/16 of a throttle. I mean, granted, I'm going downhill, but I'm in 3rd gear, and it just lugs, man. I'm really happy with that. That lug, dude. This thing is like right about to stall, and it just goes. It is just something else. So I think there is something to be said for these Austrian bikes. Look at that. I'm just barely. It's like almost. I was just above idle, and it lugged through there. So there's some truth to that. You know, I say truth to that, but basically just the reputation that the KTMs have in the off-road and enduro categories. It lugs very well. And I know the 500 also has a reputation for being a good lugger. It lugs. I'm really pleased with that, because that's kind of the direction that my style of riding it is going. It certainly is at now. I'm just like today. The weather is so great right now. There's like not even hardly a breeze. The temperature is fantastic. I mean, I'm wearing adventure gear, but this is like, I guess it's not cold weather gear. I'm wearing the MSR Voyager jacket and pants. And you know, I'm just wearing underwear under the pants and a t-shirt under the jacket, and just regular like motocross gloves. I got my Bell adventure helmet. What is it, the MX-9 or something like that? I forget. The one with the photochromatic lens on it. And I got the lens open right now, actually, as I'm talking to you. It's just so beautiful out. So I'm just blipping around in 3rd gear like nothing, man. All right, I got an opportunity to open it up. I'm in 4th gear. Let's do it. That's what I'm saying, you guys. This thing, once you get up around half throttle, it's got some spunk, man. I've said that several times. I know in a previous video and once or twice already, and dude, it picks up, man. Not even topping 4th gear out. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Big rocks, big rocks. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Yeah. As far as the riding is concerned, good choice to continue coming through. Because the road is like decent right here. I'm still minding my manners though, just because I do need to make sure I get within proximity of that fuel station. Man, that's just 4th gear, dude. Okay, I got 2 options. All right, we're just gonna keep going this way. Boom, boom, boom. You know, there's a lot of new signs out here. These bypasses are getting blocked off. They do that in these areas. You see, there's one. Those are all new. I mean, I haven't been out here in a while. I don't know, sometime within the last year. Man, it just lugs, man. I'm just gonna keep saying that. This thing lugs so well. 4th gear, going up this hill, 25 miles per hour. Just listen to it. I don't know how much you guys can hear the bike because I got a lavalier hooked up inside my helmet. I thought about just doing the GoPro on the chest mount. So yeah, we're pretty much going to be mostly downhill from here. There's a couple slight little uphills, but I'm on the downhill stretch. This is a fantastic bike, man. I'm really enjoying it, you know. And I was quite skeptical going into the KTM. I've always wanted one. Finally was ready to get one. And the odd thing about like the KTMs and the Huskies is they've got that cult following, but there's just a tremendous amount of bad information out there for them, you know. And as with any brand, any subject, doesn't even need to be motorcycles, but You always get people that got bad things to say about brands. It doesn't matter if it's trucks or whatever product it is. You always got your lovers and your haters out there. But man, I just feel like there's so much bad information about these out there. So I was very skeptical to do it. But given that I was able to do it, it was one of those deals where I was like, you know what? Kind of a don't knock it till you try it. Look at that fourth gear. Just as long as the bike can move forward, you can like pretty much be in any gear. That'll change when you're going uphill and over obstacles, but like I'm just in fourth gear and this thing is just like idle. I'm just barely just cracking the throttle to keep it moving along. Watch out, chipmunk. What a beautiful area. Wish I had enough fuel, I'd just come do it again. Another day. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, look at that. Look at that suspension, just gobble it. Man. So fun. What a nice day. Look at that fourth gear, just clinging to life. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Woohoo! Oh yeah, the road's smoothed out nicely here. It's not always this smooth. The season and the traffic just made it just right. All right, people. So in terms of where the fuel is at in the tank, I'm actually doing better than I anticipated that I would. I'm not even quite down to half yet. You can see it kind of bouncing around on this fin here. That's certainly a little bit above half. I know I've been saying I was at third earlier already, but it is what it is. I mean, you know, obviously it moves slower as the tank gets wider, but anyway, looks like I'm gonna be able to finish my loop almost certainly. So we're at 53 miles. The highway is right there. Oh, look at that, KTM. Oh, KTM and a Ford. Dude, there's still a lot of fuel in there. I'm like literally thinking about doubling back. I might have to, because it looks like that fuel light's not going to come on until about the same area. I mean, my fuel is still bouncing around at this fin. Gosh, it's not quite half a tank yet, and I have my auxiliary fuel, so it's a tough choice. Do I take this highway ride back and see what those numbers are like, or do what we probably all care about more and ride the off-road? I think I'm gonna have to ride the off-road, guys. .5 miles per hour off-road. She's fast. She's fast, boys and girls and people. She's a quickin'. She's a quickin'. Oh, dude, it just is an amazing machine. The more I ride it, the more I like it. What a beast! Man, it just pulls right out of the bottom. Yeah. Are you guys getting tired of me saying that yet? It pulls out of the bottom. It's got torque. It lugs. Well, I guess that's just me welcoming myself to the 500 club. Yeah. Oh, look at this rough. Just gobble it. Just gobble it. Just gobble it, you goblin. This came on. I am at 84.8 miles. So that's actually a little further than it was taken to come on the street, and that's probably because the fuel is bouncing around and continuing to pick up or trigger the sensor. So there we are, 84.8. I noticed it just came on. Cool. I'd say we're definitely below half a tank. I could see it bobbing around just around this line here. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's a little, maybe, I don't know. Hard to say from what I've seen before, but yeah, it's definitely bobbing around in this area here. So I would certainly call that half a tank. These tanks, obviously, they're not linear because it's longer on this side than it is on the opposite side. So we're certainly around half. The light came on at 84.8. That's the fuel indicator light. Let's see where we're at over here. So again, I can see it bobbing around just below that fender shroud. So that's got to be half. Forgot to note, just by a few points of a mile, it's probably about 96.5. I got back on the pavement. 96.5. All right, you guys, that is 100 miles on the stock tank. I'm still going. Got back on the highway. The bike started sputtering at 103.5. That's 103.5 miles. I just pulled over here. I actually was able to limp to the next gas station. I'm at 106.3 miles on the tack. I just pulled over here just so I could have a little bit of privacy filming. The bike was still running, and I'm confident I can even still start it now and drive it over to the fuel station. But let's just go ahead and look at where the fuel is. Okay, you might be able to see that sloshing around there. Oh yeah, you can see that on the camera. Right below that little tapered line there. So it started sputtering. I mean, that's right about where it was. I looked down while I was riding. What it did, it started sputtering, and I just started weaving the bike back and forth to get it splashing around into that fuel pump. Let's see where we're at over here. Okay, can you see that? Yep, you can see that on the camera. Right about there. So it's not completely out, but it was still running. I limped over here. So to answer the question, yeah, the bike still leaves a bit of fuel in the bottom. The main reason I had to pull over, honestly, was because my GoPro was acting up and I couldn't catalog what was going on. So, I don't know. I guess I took a bunch of gambles today. Why not take one more? I have enough fuel to get to the next fueling station no matter what. So, it already feels a little sputtery though. I don't know how far I'm going to get. Definitely feels a little funny. Right there next to a fuel station. Let's keep going! Alright guys, 110.3 miles. She's sputtering quite heavy. I think we are going to run out of fuel here. Yeah, that's it. That's it. We're done. 110.5. She is just done. So, I'm going to put some fuel in it. 110.5, guys. That was fantastic. I would say for the stock tank, I guess, what am I saying? I don't know if that's fantastic. I guess that was just my reaction to getting more than I thought I was going to get. Let's go ahead and put some fuel in. You can see we're sloshing around right here on this side. Let's get some fuel in there, and that's all we're getting. So there it is, 110.5 miles. I just put about 60 ounces of fuel in the machine. I'm gonna go to the gas station. I'm gonna fill it up. I'm going to get a reading on that. I'm going to add the 60 ounces to that. We'll do a calculation on our average. Again, 110.5 miles on the factory tank before it went totally dead. I mean, it started sputtering and having issues at 103.5. I totally just rolled in here on momentum where I'm at right now. It was totally dead. It was not even running. 3 miles from the point where I put the two 30-ounce bottles into the tank, so that was 60 ounces into the tank. Now I got to the fuel station, I filled both of the 30-ounce fuel bottles back up, and I filled the bike's stock tank back up. I used a total of 2.099 gallons. So that was 2.099 gallons, roughly about 2 gallons for 110.5 miles. So again, I'll do a little calculation once I get back to the house, and then we'll have all those numbers for that clip to kind of condense all this information and see kind of what we got roundabout.
I'd like to thank those of you that are watching the end of this video. I appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to view it, and I hope that you found value in the work that I'm doing here. I'd also appreciate anyone who's willing to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share or recommend these videos to others that would also enjoy them. With that said, there's more to come, and I'll see you in the next one.